Hello, welcome to another video. If you're new to the channel, my name's Emma. I'm an illustrator based in Sheffield and these are my daily-ish vlogs. The other week, I did a video all about how you can turn your illustrations into a repeating pattern. And it's really useful if you want to try and monetize some of your illustrations. So you might want to make wallpapers or like fabrics or wrapping papers or something like that. Anything that needs your pattern to be repeated. I did a video showing you how I've done that in the past. Now, someone's commented on that with a very interesting question. So it was, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Hannah Marie Lorenzen 3428 has said, "Hi, this was very good. I have a question. If you want your main images in a diagonal line instead of horizontal or vertical, how do I do that in paper and digital?" Now that's a really good question. So the pattern that I made, the image was in the center, so when you repeated it, it repeated up and down. But you may want your main pattern to go diagonally, so your images would be offset. If you're going to look at them in a horizontal line, your images would go up, down, up, down, up, down, or they go left to right, left to right, left to right. And that's a really good question. I've only ever done it on the horizontal and on the vertical, but I had a little think about how it might work. And I'm going to try it today. So I think I know how it's going to work, but it's always good to put it into practice. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to film the process and we can talk through it and experiment with it together. So this was what I did last time. So that was the main image that I did. And I managed to make it into a block like this. And you can see that when that's repeated, the bunny goes in a grid, so horizontal and vertical. But I think if you wanted it to go just horizontal, I think what you'd need to do is just, let's see. So I'm going to duplicate this layer and hide one. That means if I keep this one hidden, this one here, we've always got that to go back to if this one doesn't work. So I'm going to work on this one. And what I'm going to do to try and get the diagonal, duplicate that again. I'm going to put my rabbits or hares, whatever they are, one up and one down, and hopefully, in fact, what I'm going to do just to mix it up a bit, I'm going to flip one, and hopefully that will create a bit more interest in a repeated pattern. So I'll go through the process again on how to make a repeating pattern and see if this works. So what we're going to do, because these two bunnies are on separate layers at the moment, so there's that one and that one, I'm just going to merge them together. And then, as always, I'm going to duplicate that layer and hide one layer, so we've always got this point saved to make it easier to go back in case it all messes up. So we've got one layer there. I'm going to duplicate that one so we've got two active layers. I'm going to make sure that snapping is on. In fact, hang on. What you need to do, if you see here, when I've selected those, the dotted line, so the walking ants, isn't going all the way to the edge of the page, and that's because it's got a transparent background essentially. So really what I want to do is make a new layer, fill it with white, so you can see there it's filled with white, and then I'm going to merge that one down. I'm going to do the same for the one above. So I've opened up an empty layer underneath that one. I'm going to drag my white. You can't see it happening here, but when you look on your layers, you can see there's a white fill has happened there. So that's, if I merge this one down, it's made a white background. Okay, hope that made sense. So now when I select this layer, the dots of the walking ants go right up to the edge. So, as in the last video, you're going to take one of those layers and pull it down until it meets halfway. And you see these orange lines that have appeared? That's because I've got snapping on, and that's going to help you line up accurately. So you want to make sure it's right in the middle. So that's one, and then you're going to take the other layer and you're going to drag it up, making sure you drop it accurately within the snapping guides. Okay, So what this has done now, it's brought the white that was on the edge, that was on the edges, to the middle. So now you can start filling that up with stuff. Let me merge these down. What I'm going to do, just for ease, I'm going to select one of the flowers, hang on, select one of the flowers from one of my other layers and just copy it. How do I do that? Copy and paste. Okay. Okay, right. So I'm gonna duplicate that flower and I'm going to use that to fill in the gaps. You can fill it in with whatever you like. It's up to you. I'm just using a flower I've already made because it's easy and quick for me to show you. The only thing that you should bear in mind when you're making it, on each layer, make sure you don't touch the edges. So on this first layer that we did, the rabbits weren't touching the edges, and then we pulled them up and down. It's fine that they're touching the edges there because that's part of the process of filling in this gap. But when you start filling in the white or filling in the background, make sure none of these things touch the edges because it will mess up the duplication process. So oh, one of those has gone over the ear. Which one is it? See there, one of the flowers has gone over the rabbit's ear. It's because I copied and pasted. Where are you? That one. So I'm just going to go in and erase right up to the flower. Oh. I think that's enough. That's enough flat. Oh, maybe one more. Let's add one more. Duplicate. Let's put one. Oh, maybe one more. Until it feels right, okay? You just keep going until it feels like okay. Again, the white has, because I copied it from a background, I copied and pasted it from one where the background was a solid white. It's picked up the background as well, so I'm just erasing that. Okay, I think that looks about right for me. So what I'm going to do, everything that's visible here, I'm going to merge down. And it's just going to make it all on one layer. Ignore all of these. These are just from my previous video. Right, so merge that down. So all of that is now on one layer. There's nothing left behind. So, as you know I like to do, I like to copy and hide the layer that we've worked on. So we've always got a backup now of this part of the process. So I'm going to duplicate the one that's active, and again, like before when we did this, when we had the two active layers, before we pulled one halfway down and one halfway up, this time we're going to pull one to the left and one to the right. Again, staying within those orange snapping guides so you get an accurate left and right. Sorry, I mean an accurate lineup of the pattern. It's tricky. Right, there you go. Okay, so before I said don't go to the edge, don't put a flower on the edge of the pattern, and that's because if I'd have put a flower on the edge, there'd be no pattern to meet it on the other edge, because we're going to be repeating this over and over again, like a stamp. It's going to be stamped next to it. So what we've done there by staying away from the edges is anything that was on the centre line before, so on this one. So this flower here was on the centre line, you'll see that in a second. We've pulled those, we've swapped them over. So that flower will now be split on that side and that side. But if, when I was on this layer, if I'd have put a flower here, there would be no other half of the flower here to line it up with. So on each time you're adding things on, stay away from the edges, because otherwise your pattern won't match up. So we've got these two layers, we've got a right and a left. I'm going to merge those down. And what this has done, this has just highlighted any areas where there might have been whites, because the centre part was the bit that was on the edge before. This looks okay to me. Should I add something else to make it feel like a different drawing? Let me try. I might just keep it like this, but I'm going to try and add a pop of colour. Maybe not. I thought maybe some grass, but no, I'm not going to do that. But I could if I wanted to, but there doesn't seem to be that. It's not problematic. There are no problematic areas of white. If anything, I could maybe do with selecting some of these flowers and moving them, just nudging them around, but that seems okay to me. So what we're going to do now is we're going to test this pattern. So you're going to duplicate and you're going to select one layer and you're going to put it down to 1/4, making sure you stick within the snapping guidelines. I'm going to take another one. I'm going to fill the other quarter, always zooming in and making sure any seams, see there's a daffodil there that is on the seam, make sure there's no gaps, and there isn't. This is what a gap would look like. It might look a bit like that. And even if it's minuscule, even if when you zoomed out you can't really see it, it will make a difference. Okay. And you're going to do that and you're just going to fill all the quadrants, checking your line up. See, there's a line that there hasn't joined in. So let's practice again, have another go. That seems to have worked. Again, just check all the lines. That hasn't lined up properly. So my hand keeps moving when I lift it off. It seems all lined up. So if you want to check again, I can merge these down and you can make the pattern smaller by doing the same again. Hooray, it's worked! So you can see that the pattern, the main pattern, is going diagonally corner to corner rather than just horizontally and just vertically. I mean, all grids will go both ways. So let me compare it to the one we had before. So this is the one we've done today, and this is the one we had last time. Whereas this is, there's more of a push towards it being diagonally. I think this is helped by the fact that the rabbits or the hares were facing each other. They weren't in the same direction. So this one, they're all in the same direction. I've just noticed on one of these, I've left part of a flower exposed. I mean, ideally you would have picked that up before you got to the duplicating it big stage, but you can just go in, colour those in. So always check your print before you move on. I was obviously rushing this process, so I missed that that there was an edge of flower. Right, oh, there's one. If you picked that up at the stage before you started duplicating it, you wouldn't have to go in and find them all. Cool. So I hope that has answered your questions on how to make a pattern go diagonally as well as horizontally and vertically. I'm really glad that pattern worked. It was a good question and I'm glad you asked it, so thanks very much. Now we all know how to make the pattern diagonal as well. It's good just to have a play around with things like that. Basically the process of your pattern, however you're going to do it, is going to be not drawing on the edges, then splitting the page, even if you do it with paper and pens and scissors and glue. So you draw on your sheet of paper or on your canvas, your digital canvas, don't touch the edges, you duplicate the page, and split it and swap it. If you're doing it on paper, you just cut it up the middle and swap around. That makes all of the white edges that were on the outside now suddenly in the middle, so then you could fill that in, and then you'd cut the paper the other way, or you'd duplicate your screen and then you'd flip it, and it'd do the same with any remaining white. So however you do the pattern in between, have a little play around with it. I mean, you might find a better way of getting a good diagonal than I do, but have a little play around with it with your own pattern and see how it works for you. But the process of making the repeat is the same. So I hope this has been useful. If you do ever have any questions, do let me know, pop them in the comments, and I do read the comments. So thanks for getting in touch. I do appreciate it. This is where I'm going to leave this video today. So until the next one, bye.